When it comes to reading your credit report and understanding what your credit report is and why it's so valuable, first you need to understand what is credit so you can see the value in reading your credit report. So the definition of credit is your ability to pay back borrowed money. That being said, that's what your credit report is. Your credit report is the proof and the history of you showing your ability to pay back borrowed money. Think of your credit report is similar to like a report card. It's your history on your grades on paying back borrowed money. So your credit score is essentially that grade in the class and your report showing, hey, you passed this test, you have 100% on homework, you have no missing assignments. That's your credit report. And that's why your credit report is so important, especially compared to your credit score, is because that's actually the history you have with different banks, different lenders, different credit unions on your ability to pay back borrowed money. You probably hear me say on social media all the time that your credit score means nothing. I exaggerate that. Your credit score does have value, but your credit score in comparison to your credit report has no value. And that's what I mean when I say your credit score doesn't matter. Because you can have an amazing credit score, but your credit score is a numerical value of your credit report. And that numerical value is calculated by the average between good and bad on your credit report. So you can have one good item on your credit report and zero bad. It can have a crazy high credit score. But when lenders actually pull your credit report, you can still get denied due to lack of history, not enough active revolving accounts on your credit report, or just not even having a relationship with that bank and them not even trusting you just because you don't have a checking account or just have a simple relationship with them prior to you applying for that form of credit. So when I say that your credit score means nothing, I say it in an exaggeration in comparison to your credit report. So just keep that in mind when you hear me say throughout this video and any other videos that when I say your credit score is irrelevant, it's not completely irrelevant, because again, it is a numerical value of your credit report, which can show good and have a correlation with your credit report. But I had to learn the hard way that your credit score doesn't really mean as much as your credit report. And I learned that through applying for a AC unit to buy for my mom, because my mother, she was in a bankruptcy when I was in high school. So when I graduated and turned 18, I had a 788 credit score, and I got denied for every single loan that I applied for due to me having only secondary history. And once I got the denial letter telling me why I got denied, yes, I had a 788 credit score, but I had lack of history. So that's why it's so important to understand how to read your credit report, what a credit report is, because yes, you can have a high credit score, and I was taught growing up that all you need is a high credit score. But in reality, banks and lenders don't care about that. Banks and lenders want to see the actual active history that you have with credit to verify and have proof that you can pay back that borrowed money. One more example before I go into teaching you guys what a credit report is and how to properly read it. Think of it like this. I ask you to borrow $10,000. You say, okay, Jeremy, I will lend you this $10,000, but I need proof that you're going to pay me back. I tell you that my credit score is a 788. I give you three lousy numbers. Are you going to be able to trust me with $10,000 just of me telling you that I have a high three-number score? No. What you're going to do is you're going to ask me for proof of income, and you're going to ask me my history with paying back other people. It's the same thing with these banks, because you have to think as these banks as investors. They're people, they're businesses. The same way you wouldn't trust me with that money just by me giving you three lousy numbers, these banks are the exact same way. With that being said, let's dive into what a credit report is, how to read it, and even where to read it at. So right now I'm showing you this credit Karma account, and a lot of people hate on Credit Karma, a lot of people hate on Experian. Let me say this, when it comes to reading your credit report is going to be identical everywhere you check. Only thing that's going to change is your credit score. And the reason why your credit score is going to be different every single app you go to, every single website, every single bank, it doesn't matter. It's going to be different everywhere, because every single system is going to grade up everything differently. So you guys probably see like on the Experian app, or probably seen in like textbooks or online, where it says your payment history is 35% of your credit score, utilization is 30%. It's a little bit more in depth than that. It's not just a percentage and they add up all the percentages and divide it out for a score. No, they calculate everything and take it into account in different ways, in different systems, different apps, websites. For example, Chase might say, hey, my Experian credit score is a 720, while if I go to my Navy Federal app, they might say it's a 715, but my credit report is exactly the same. Why is that? It's because they take different things into account, like age, number of inquiries, your most recent open account. So that's going to be different everywhere you go, and that's why I say these apps really don't matter, because your credit report is going to say the same. It's going to have the same amount of inquiries, the same amount of accounts, the same age. It's all the same information. So when it comes to getting a credit report, honestly, in my opinion, it doesn't matter. I use Experian for my Experian credit report, and I use Credit Karma for my TransUnion and Equifax. And you have to understand, you do have 3 credit scores, 3 credit reports. So a lot of people come to me and they say, hey, Jeremy, I have a 730 credit score. And I ask them which credit bureau, and they say, oh, I don't know. It just says on the Chase app. You have to make sure you know which credit report you're looking at, because different banks pull different bureaus. Again, you have to understand that that credit score is really irrelevant compared to your credit report, because like I said, each bank is going to have a different score that they pull, because they're going to take different things into account, and some things weigh more than others to different banks. So it's important to know your credit report and what's on there, so you can know and be confident, hey, if they pull this credit report, I know for a fact that I'm getting approved because I hit all these checkpoints. What are those checkpoints that banks look for? So right now, again, I'm showing you guys on Credit Karma. These are the checkpoints. Number 1 is payment history. Payment history is just that. Do you make on-time payments? This cannot be below 100%. If you want to get any type of business funding, high limit personal funding, get cars with 0% down, you cannot have a 99.9% payment history. That payment history needs to be at 100% always. Because again, that payment history is your ability to pay back borrowed money. You probably heard me say on my content, if you never borrow any money, how do you expect lenders to trust you? That's one thing. You want to exercise your ability to pay back borrowed money by using it. But another thing is you want to exercise it correctly, meaning you pay it back on time. Because if you don't pay it back on time, banks are going to look at you and they're not going to trust you. And what happens when banks don't trust you? They're not going to give you any funding. They're not going to give you any credit. And if they do, it's not in good terms, meaning it's going to be high interest rates. If you want some type of asset like a mortgage, or you want a auto loan, they're going to require a lot of money down to get started with it. It's not going to be in your favor. You're not going to be able to walk into the bank and walk out with a smile on your face. You're going to walk in the bank and walk out and almost getting kind of like screwed over, because that payment history isn't up to par, just simply because you missed a payment. So how do you always have 100% payment history? You do that by having everything set on auto pay. I set every single one of my accounts on auto pay, whether that be a credit card, whether it be a mortgage, an auto loan, it doesn't matter. Every single one of my accounts are on auto pay. And even if my account goes into overdraft, I'd rather pay a $40 overdraft fee so I can pay my credit card accounts on time, rather than me miss a payment, destroy my credit, and now I have to pay somebody for credit repair. Now instead of me spending $40 for overdraft, now I have to worry about paying the credit repair specialist $100, $200, $300, whatever their fee is, to remove that late payment off my credit report. The first part of your credit, and the most important, is that payment history. You want to have that at 100%. Always. Next up is your credit card usage. So your credit card usage is your utilization. How much of your revolving credit are you using? Revolving credit is different from installment credit. So installment credit is like your auto loans, your mortgages, personal loans, where you take out a loan and you make a payment, and that payment is the same every single month. You have a car. You do a auto loan and you pay $400 a month. Every single month on this day, you pay $400 a month. That's an installment loan. A revolving account is a traditional credit card where you have $1,000, you spend on it, and then once you pay off what you spent, you get to use it again. That credit is what is going into your utilization. That's what they count as your utilization, is your revolving debt. Now, you probably heard of the 1/3 rule, meaning for your revolving credit, so for your credit cards, you don't want to use more than 30% of your total available credit, because that will hinder your credit score. It's going to lower your credit score and hinder your ability to get more funding. That is very true, but in reality, it's 10%. I speak to bank reps, I speak to bank managers, I speak to banks all day, every day, basically. And the requirements for getting the maximum amount of funding is keeping your utilization below 10%. You want to have it in single digits, between 1 to 9%. 10% is fine, so you can do 1 to 10%. But anything above that, I don't know if you guys have noticed on your own credit report, your score will drop crazy. Even if you use 15%, 20%, it's not 30, but it will still drop your score down. And the reason why is because, for one, it affects your debt to income ratio. Your debt to income ratio is essentially your income compared to your debt to see if you can afford the current debt and to see if you can afford new debt coming on. And it just shows responsibility to the banks to say, hey, they have this credit available to them. Are they actively using it and spending it, maxing your credit cards off? Or do they have the discipline to withhold from spending that money? And can they afford more credit? You want to be sure that you only use credit and use the amount of credit that you can afford to pay back on a timely manner. And you want to be sure to not overextend yourself with your credit and spend so much where you're not able to pay it back. So with your utilization, it's very sensitive and it's very flexible. And what I mean by that is, realistically, you can spend more on your credit cards and raise your utilization up higher, as long as, for one, you know you can pay it off, and two, you're not applying for anything. So a prime example, this credit report, the utilization is at 60% right now. So this would be very, very, very troublesome if this person is not able to pay this money back. If this was on clothes, shoes, chain, video games, unnecessary things that isn't generating an income, yes, that will harm them because they have to pay that down before getting approved for any new form of credit. But let's say if they use this for a business investment and they're able to pay this off whenever they want, it really doesn't matter until they're going to apply for new credit. So if they have enough credit, or if they're not ready to apply for anything, utilization doesn't matter. Utilization only matters when you're applying for new credit, because that's when utilization matters. When your credit matters is when you need more credit. Just keep that in mind, and your utilization reports on your statement date. So when it comes to your credit, understand you have 2 dates. You have your due date, which is the contract you sign, hey, I pay this amount on this date. And then 2, you have your statement date. And your statement date is when the bank reports to the credit bureaus, hey, this is the current up-to-date credit card account, whether it's active, it's closed, or they report the utilization and they show, hey, this person paid off this amount on the card, or they spent this much on the card. So again, keep that in mind. That statement date is when they report the utilization, not the due date. Kind of to recap on these first two points, utilization, you want to have below 10%. That's an ideal perfect credit score, below 10%, and payment history, always 100%. Next is derogatory marks. Now, derogatory marks are just any bad mark on your credit. That's collections, charge-offs, things of that nature. So anything bad on your credit, that's going to be a derogatory mark. You want 0. If you have any derogatory marks on your credit report, that is going to kill you. Again, collections, charge-offs, repos, bankruptcies, judgments, liens, all that stuff will be a derogatory mark, and it will kill your ability to receive new funding. So you want that at 0. So if you have any derogatory marks, you need credit repair. If you have anything below 100% payment history, you need credit repair to remove those late payments. Credit card usage, the only way to battle credit card usage is to refinance that underneath a personal loan. If your credit card usage is so high, like 60%, meaning your score is really low, then you can do private lending to reconsolidate that debt. Or what you can consider is getting a high limit trade line. A trade line is an authorized user, or think of it as users being added to someone else's credit card, and that credit history, the credit age, and that limit shows up on your credit report. So it lowers utilization because it increases your total available credit. Payment history is credit repair, derogatory marks is credit repair, and credit card usage, that's just either getting a trade line, reconsolidating your debt, or paying down the debt. Then we have credit age. So credit age, bare minimum, you want 2 years. So depending on what type of funding you are seeking, it might need more. Could do a little bit of less if you're just getting credit cards, but your credit age, you want 2 years. A good solid credit report has minimum 2 years. And keep in mind, that's not 2 years from 18. That's 2 years average of your credit accounts. So for example, right, let's say you are 25 and you get your first credit account at 25. You have 0 years and 0 months credit age. A lot of people get confused and say, hey, I turned 18, if I'm 25, I turned 18 7 years ago. Shouldn't I have 7 years age? You have no history with credit. You haven't had credit for 7 years. You were just able to get credit for 7 years. Keep that in mind. It's when you get your first credit account, and student loans count. So you got student loans, auto loans, credit cards, secure cards. That's when your credit age starts. And keep in mind that credit age is an average of everything. What I mean by that is, let's say you had one credit card from 18 all the way to 28. That's 10 years. Your credit age will be 10 years, which is perfect. Beautiful, right? Let's say when you turn 28, and you had that one account, you apply for a new credit card. So now you have one credit card with 10 years and another one with 0 years. Now your credit age is going to be cut in half because that 0 years and that 10 years is going to average out to 5 years, killing your credit. So as you guys already know, I have about, I want to say 30 plus credit cards. I have a bunch of credit cards. I have auto loans. I have personal loans. I have a bunch of credit available. And one perk of having all this credit available is the fact that my average age is a brick wall, meaning when I apply for a new form of credit and that credit age of 0 hits my credit report, it doesn't kill my credit because I have so many credit cards at 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. You know, I have all these credit accounts with so much age on it, it's not going to affect me versus somebody with only 1 or 2 credit cards and they get a new account years down the road, destroys their average age. So 100% payment history, perfect. Utilization really doesn't matter until you're applying for new credit. So when you apply for new credit, you want it below 10%. Credit age, you want at 2 years, and derogatory marks, you gotta have 0. Always have 0 derogatory marks. And keep in mind, if you have 100% payment history, you shouldn't have any derogatory marks. Of course, you have like instances where like a third party, not even anything credit related, like a storage unit, right? Let's say a storage unit, you owe them money, they can put a collection on your credit report. You know, businesses can put collections on your credit report. So that will be like the only instance where you can get a derogatory mark that's not credit related, but any other credit related or any other derogatory mark will be credit related. Therefore, it would be solved just by putting everything on auto pay. If you have everything on auto pay, you will not get any derogatory marks. Then total accounts. This is where a lot of people try to argue with me or try to like fight me on having so many accounts is a bad thing. Banks actually like for you to have multiple active accounts because it shows not only that you're responsible with multiple accounts, but if you have different types of accounts, it shows diversity in your credit portfolio. I want to show banks that you're able to pay back any type of credit, right? So if you only have credit cards, your credit report wouldn't be as strong as if you had 4 credit cards, an auto loan, a personal loan. You're able to show these banks that you're able to pay off different forms of credit because different forms of credit are used for different things. So if I have a paid off auto loan, I can be trusted going to a different bank saying, hey, I already paid off an auto loan. So you can trust me with a new one because I have proof that I can pay off an auto loan. So when it comes to having a total amount of accounts, banks like to see at minimum anywhere between 4 to 8 accounts. Anything more is good. Anything less than 4, you're still kind of a newbie with credit. You don't have that much experience with credit. So having 21 accounts, you can see here, that's excellent. And they're mainly credit cards. Having that many accounts is a good thing. Make sure you're not afraid of getting credit cards because it can only help you. Only time having so many credit accounts can hurt you is if you're not responsible with it. If you're not disciplined and you don't feel like you can handle all that, then don't do it by any means. I'm not forcing you to get a whole bunch of credit accounts. I'm just letting you know that it can benefit you if you have the discipline not to overextend yourself. And lastly, we have hard inquiries. You want to have 4 or below. Some instances 6 can be fine, but realistically you want 4 or lower hard inquiries, and even 4 can be iffy depending on the time frame. So what is a hard inquiry? Hard inquiry is just a credit check. When lenders pull your credit report and take a look at your credit report, that will leave a hard inquiry, and that's what hard inquiry is, just a lender looking at your credit report. Having so many accounts, right? Of course that's going to create a lot of hard inquiries. So here's a little trick for you guys. When it comes to credit stacking, let's say it's 21 accounts, right? Why does this person only have 4 inquiries if he has 21 accounts? There's a couple reasons. Number 1, hard inquiries only stay on your credit report for 2 years. All other derogatory marks stay on your credit report for 7 years. That's another reason why you shouldn't get any derogatory marks. They stay on your credit forever, it seems like. But hard inquiries are the only bad mark on your credit that stays on there for only 2 years. So in 2 years, they fall off and they just cease to exist. And another reason why this person has 21 accounts and only 4 inquiries is because of this credit stacking technique. We have only 3 credit reports, 3 credit scores, 3 credit bureaus. That's Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. We are currently looking at TransUnion. There is no credit report or credit bureau more valuable than the next. Most banks pull Experian and TransUnion more than Equifax, but they all 3 carry weight in the credit industry. That being said, different banks pull different credit bureaus, and you can leverage that and use that to your advantage. Because we have 3 credit bureaus and this person has 21 accounts, what they could have done was, hey, when I apply for this form of credit, I'm gonna make sure that they only pull 1 credit bureau. Most banks only pull 1 credit bureau. Some banks pull 2, and it's very rare for a bank to pull all 3 credit bureaus. This person could have had each and every single one of those credit accounts pull only 1 credit bureau, and that divides the hard inquiries by 3. So instead of having 21 hard inquiries for 1 bureau, divide that by 3, that's only 7 hard inquiries per credit bureau. And then from there, it could have been, because their age is 3 years, 3 months. So that means a bunch of inquiries could have fell off. So that's why at first they probably had 7, but then 2 years have passed because their credit age average is 3 years and 3 months. So then 3 of them fell off, and more could be falling off soon anyway. So that's a little trick for you guys to kind of learn how to credit stack. And that's what technique that I use to get so many credit cards. I will get 3 credit cards at a time because I will make sure a credit card will pull only Experian, only TransUnion, and only Equifax. And then, yes, they all show up to my credit report, and they will show up on every single credit report, but the inquiry will not be on every single credit report. It will be specifically catered to who they pull. And that's the only thing on your credit report that will be different on every single credit report is the inquiry, because they're going to pull different credit reports. Kind of going back to the beginning of this, why is this information so important? The reason why this information is so important allows you to make the smartest financial decisions, not based on just 3 numbers. A lot of people get hung up on, oh, my credit score is this, so I can think, or I think that I can get whatever I want. I was in the same boat. I thought the same thing. I was taught the same thing. Hey, I got a high credit score, I can get whatever I want. That's not the case. You have a good credit report, you can get whatever you want. And that's why it's so important to understand how to read a credit report and understand this, because this isn't taught everywhere. This isn't just knowledge that's just thrown around. And that's the whole point of me making this video. The whole point of me making my content is to show you guys, hey, this stuff is important. Stuff is rare, but it's so powerful, because now I'm able to walk into the bank knowing my credit report, not my score, that, hey, I can get approved for pretty much anything. So let's go a tiny bit deeper. I want to give you guys a little bit more knowledge before closing this video on just credit reports and all that good stuff. So let's go into closed accounts. One thing that a lot of people don't know is that closed accounts will hurt your credit score, not your report. Prime example, I have a business partner. He paid off his car loan, right? His credit score dropped 10 points. And he was confused. He was like, why did my score drop 10 points for me paying off this loan? That's because you don't have an active loan anymore. That active loan is now closed. So that active history is now not active anymore. So yes, that will lower your credit score because now you have 1 less open account. Instead of having 21 open accounts, that person now has 20 active open accounts, and that lowers your score because you have less history showing and reporting that's active. But does that hurt your report? No, it does not. And the reason why it doesn't hurt your report is because you now have a paid off auto loan. And banks take that to account. Keep in mind, the reason why we get hard inquiries is because they're pulling your credit report, not your score. So they see that you paid off an auto loan. So now, yes, his score dropped 10 points temporarily. Literally 3 months down the line, his score shot back up. Your score is going to fluctuate over time. Your score will literally drop 3 points for no reason. And that's perfectly fine. What matters is your report. Don't get hung up on your score, get hung up on your report. Because that person who paid off that auto loan picked up a new Benz literally a month later with no issue. And the reason why is because when they pulled his credit report, yes, his score was a little low, but they saw that he had a paid off auto loan. So they saw that, hey, this person is trustworthy because they paid off his auto loan early. So just keep that in mind. Your score is going to fluctuate. It's going to go up 2 points. It's going to go down 4 points. It's going to go up 5 points. It's going to go down 10 points. That's okay. Again, set everything up on auto pay and make sure that you take care of your credit like your life depends on it, because that is your financial future. Especially with everything that's going on in our economy, things are getting more expensive and jobs are getting harder to find. And not only that, your income is not growing that much unless you start your own business, unless you have multiple streams of income. Wages are not going up in comparison to the prices of inflation and everything around us. So to get capital is a lot harder now, and that's where credit comes into play. So you want to make sure that you understand this so you can properly build your credit, so you can leverage it to start your dream business, so you can be able to leverage it to make that dream investment, to make some passive income, because you don't have to wait a year, 6 months, 4 months. You don't even got to wait a couple months to save up the bread to start that investment. You can just simply leverage your credit and walk it to the bank and walk out with the money or the capital to start that business venture. So just keep that in mind. This stuff is very important. And again, I appreciate you guys for trusting me with this information. And just make sure that you guys follow me on all my socials. All my platforms is at Mr. Credit to Wealth. And if you have any questions, please don't feel bad to DM me. I answer my DMs. DM me on TikTok, Instagram. So if you just DM me on Mr. Credit to Wealth on my IG, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you guys may have. So that pretty much sums it up on how to read your credit report. Make sure you tune into my content. And if you are interested in any of my services, whether that be credit repair, funding, or even my mentorship, again, please DM me and I have no issue to answer any questions you may have.